back to Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. I'm Stacy. Today I'm going to show you how to make the paper flowers that I showed you when I made the Shimmer Mist video last time. So I started with my Cricut using the Art Philosophy cartridge. I cut the flowers and I cut them at 2 3/4 inch. This one I cut at 2 1/2. It just looked a little bit small, so probably won't end up using that one. So I'm going to peel away the extra paper, and I'm left with these flat circles of cut paper. They're cut into a spiral. Today I'm also going to be using some Aleene's Easy Squeeze Quick Dry Tacky Glue. You can use regular tacky glue, whatever works for you. I love this stuff because it's in a tube. It's easy to squeeze, and the lid becomes a little stand, so the glue is always down where you need it. Also going to be using my hot pink shimmer mist that I made in the last tutorial, as well as a couple different sizes of just little clear rhinestone jewels. Some of the flowers need a center, some do not. And sometimes one style will need it and other times it won't. It just depends on how you end up rolling it. Sometimes they roll a little easier than others, but sometimes you just go with it, and they're all handmade, so they'll all be a little bit different. Embrace that. It's a good thing. Okay, so I've got these peeled off. I like to start by using my bone folder just to give it a little bit of dimension. I like to take the edge of my bone folder and just kind of curl it. It just helps it roll a little bit better. Just give it a little depth here. Now the center, that becomes the bottom of your flower, and you're going to start at the very skinny end and grab a pencil or a pen and just start it out rolling around that. And then once you get a good start, you can take the pen out. Then I go back and I roll it a little bit tighter, but by then it's rounded a little bit like your pen, therefore it will roll a little easier. So you continue rolling this spiral until you get to the center. Okay, so I've rolled it up, I've gotten to the middle. This is where your tacky glue comes in handy. Put a good glob of glue on there. Okay. Pay attention to your first roll, get it centered on there, and then just let it unroll naturally and press it into the glue. You want a good puddle on there. You could also use hot glue, but whenever I get my hot glue gun out, I end up with burns on my fingers. So I like this tacky glue because it lets me work the flower a little bit. You could keep the center tight, or you can put a little more tacky glue in there and drop in one of these little jewels to be the center. Sometimes you have to use a tweezer, and that's okay. Tack it down into the glue. You're going to just set it aside and let it dry. That's one style. Again, that was cut at 2 3/4 inches off of the Art Philosophy Cricut cartridge. And that one was this one, which is the shift lock of the fleur-de-lis button. Okay, so you're on the font shift lock. It's down at the bottom. These flowers print, you cut them with the last 3 buttons on the display panel. Okay, so I will show you another one. This one happens to be one of my favorites. It will end up looking like this with lots of little tiny petals. It's kind of a chrysanthemum when it gets done. And this one It has a really tight little center in it. I don't take my bone folder too hard on this one because it's just so tiny up here. So do start it with the pen. Get it rounded just a little bit, and then go back and make that center pretty tight because you want to try to avoid having to put a jewel in the middle of this one. It just doesn't look as much like a chrysanthemum with a jewel in the middle. I have a few that have it and it's fine. Just doesn't look as much like a chrysanthemum. Okay, now I've got it rolled, except the base is still exposed there. Big old glob of glue. And these do take a little while to dry, and that's okay. Set it down, let it spiral out, pushing it down into the glue. Once it opens up to where you're happy with it, put your finger in the middle. You don't want this one to continue to open because it looks so much cuter with the center still closed up pretty tight. Once you get it completely dry, then you can take and fluff out the petals a little bit, but let that one completely dry first. So that's 2 different flowers. And then the third flower I have is just this kind of a ruffle-edged flower. I do like to use the bone folder on this one because it's a little bit thicker, sturdier of a bit of a flower. There's also a rose petal one you can cut. I have done some with that, but they don't tend to be my favorite, so I didn't make any of those for you today, but they wind up looking like this. Okay, and then there's a giant chrysanthemum, also not one of my favorites. These are my 3 favorite ones. I think they look the nicest and the most realistic when they're done. So again, start it around a pen so that the middle gets round. Take the pen out and then tighten it up. You want the center as tight as possible so that when it opens up, it keeps its shape. Got it rolled to the center, and I'm going to put a big old glob of glue again. And this might be more glue than I need, but it works. Glue is cheap. Okay, push it in, let it unroll. And the nice thing about using tacky glue versus hot glue is I can go back, pull it off, and really sculpt that first leaf. I like to pull this one in tight and push that base down onto that first roll. Then let it unroll into the middle. Okay, then you're going to let that dry. Voila, 3 different flowers to use on another project. Okay, now you might say, but they're just plain. We can fix that. So I'm going to take my scrap paper. I'm going to put my 3 flowers. Now you're going to want to wait until these are completely dry. You'll get a better mist. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like. I like to start with them upside down so I get a little bit of color on the bottom edges. And then just lightly mist your flowers. Okay, take a heat gun to them to dry it. Just a spot. And if you get too puddly on there, it's okay. The heat gun will push it away and you'll end up with darker tips. Sometimes I mist while I'm drying if I see a spot that's just not colored enough. As it dries, the shimmer will begin to appear. Flip it over and mist the tops and middles. There are lots and lots and lots of different ways to make shimmer mist. Scrap the World has a really nice video She uses, I think she shows you 3 different ways on that one. And I was inspired by that one, so we'll probably link that video to the bottom as well so you can see what inspired me. So anyway, those are how I make paper flowers. Here is a whole bunch of them. These have been colored using Shimmer Mist. They all started out the same exact paper, and I colored them only with the Shimmer Mist spray. From flat to 3D in probably what, 2-3 minutes? Okay. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Whimsy Wonderland.